Hi. I guess first, my name is Cassidy, and I am a senior. I'm going to graduate in December, and I'm a special ed deaf and hard of hearing major. Um, so I guess here's my bag. My bag doesn't really mean anything. Um, I love it though. I got it from TJ Maxx. It's really cute. But anyways, so I guess if it has to mean something, um, I don't know, the value of money and being smart and love for TJ Maxx. So first, I have a really strange object, I guess. This is actually a knife sharpener. I didn't know if it would be appropriate to have a knife even if it's just video. But this, so represents a lot of things, I guess. So my mom had graduated from college. My dad had graduated from high school. He did not go to college. This represents what he did. So my family has owned a processing plant, a meat processing plant, so where farmers can take their livestock to be butchered and sold. And this is what he did. He grew up cutting meat, and that's just something that has lived in tradition in my family. For me personally, this means, or it shows how my family values physical, hard work, and what it means to know how to do something. Not that things that aren't physical aren't useful, but something that you can do yourself and know a trade and know a skill. And this particularly isn't, this is a dying trade, meat cutting. So that's something very special that I hold in my heart, but it also shows that sometimes education isn't meant for everyone. Not everyone is meant to go to a four-year university and get a master's or receive training in a classroom on something. It might be productive still for someone to go to a trade school to learn a trade, or like my dad did for years and years and years and has made a living off of, is learning from the time he was old enough to hold a knife and learn from those around him on the job. So that's something that I take from my culture that I really, really hope to apply in my teaching someday, is that sometimes college is amazing and perfect and opens up all kinds of things for people, but that sometimes that's not how it's supposed to be. So I'll talk about this on a different object too, but my brother's in the military. He's in the Air Force. He's been in for almost 2 years, and school wasn't meant for him, and that was okay. So he stopped, and there's always a different path anyone can take, and if that's what's best for them, then that's what's best for them. So next, I have my Bible. So this represents a lot. It represents my religion. So this current church I go to is Southern Baptist, even though it's more it's not as strict as you would think Southern Baptist is, more non-denominational. But this is very special to me. I didn't really start going to church until my boyfriend and I started dating, a couple years ago. And this also kind of weaves into my beliefs and why I believe what I believe, but also it's a good way to question what you believe, but also what your religion believes. So yeah, but I mean, I hold the values that most and all Christians follow, and but along with that, the openness and the love that you're supposed to show people who don't believe what you believe. So, I don't know. It's important to me, and it's something that I carry with me. And when I am trying to decide how to view something or how to judge something, it's something I really take into consideration, and or how to do something. It's just something that's really important. And yeah, so really value days like Christmas and Easter and things like that. And yeah, this is really important to me. And I did grow up as a Christian, but we went to church for a short time and then we stopped. And so this is still relatively new to me. I mean, because I feel that most people who are 21 or 22, usually they didn't, I don't know, really start learning that late. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So next is a picture of my family. My dad, me, my twin brother, he's obviously the one in the Air Force, my little brother who is he's 16, and then my mom. So I had like read in the instructions that you can just show a picture of your family and say, I just love them so much, and that's part of my culture. But something that I've really thought about is that I haven't had a lot of personal cultural experiences quite yet. So a lot of my culture just stems from how I grew up and my family's values. So as you can probably assume, we value those who serve our country. My twin brother, who is in the Air Force, like I said, he's been in for almost 2 years. He's currently in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's really weird going from being a non-military family to being a military family. You really cherish the time that you have with your family when you can all be together. Like last year on my birthday, or our birthday, was the first birthday that we had not spent together, which is really strange, and it was a really weird feeling. So when we do get to see him, and when the 5 of us get to be together, that's like a really big deal. So as part of my culture, time spent with loved ones is a big deal. And that doesn't even have anything to do with like love language or anything like that. Like, it's just important when you don't have that time. So like that's something, when I go to school, I don't stay in school like on the weekends. I usually come home to spend time with people that I love, because I get to spend all week with my friends at school. And like I said, I think I said we were twins, but I think that has a big thing to do too. Like, I think everyone should have a twin. It's so fun and cool. But we are the oldest, so you always share. I don't know. I've never just not had someone else there. So I think it's really important to have those you love around you. Yeah. So next, here's a picture of my boyfriend and I. This was at a reception or a rehearsal dinner for a wedding. So the picture and like me dating him can represent a lot of things. I guess my sexuality is one. I am straight. And he is a big part of who I am now, especially because he and I started dating. I have a relationship with God, which I didn't before. And he's just been a positive person in my life. So that's something that I consider, and especially now being a senior and I'm never going to be living back on campus. I've learned how to consider what decisions I make concerning my career and concerning my life with people other than myself for the better, not just because it's like, oh, love. No. So yeah, but the biggest thing about him is the fact that he brought me to be able to identify this as being significant culturally for me. If it wasn't for him, this wouldn't matter. I would have never picked this 3 years ago. Wouldn't have happened. I would have picked something weird, different. So next, I have a screwdriver. So this represents a lot about how my family and how I view gender roles. So don't get me wrong, like my love language is come over and I'll make you dinner. I love it. I'll come bring you cookies. It's my favorite thing to do. So like still the traditional like homemaker, you know, what you would think. Like the jokes. Like women belong in the kitchen. I do. I love it. Does everyone know? That's fine. I don't care. But also the value of hard work. So as you can see, I have 2 brothers. And one of them, since Trevor's my twin, we were obviously like helping out at the same time because we were both old enough. And like I've always been expected to lift things as heavy as what my brother could. And if we built our like play set in the backyard, my parents didn't want to buy one. We built one, and I was expected to haul lumber and do all the things that my brother was expected to do. So I was expected to work just as hard as a man, I guess, or however you'd want to view it. We put up car siding, which is like wood paneling, but it like locks together. In our family like great room, we did it like all on the sides and then up the ceiling. And I was expected to go up there and, you know, stand on the scaffolding and hold up these long pieces of wood for my dad to drill in. Like I was expected to get dirty and work hard. There was no like, come on boys, let's do this. It was like, both of you get your butts up and we're going to be doing this today. And I really appreciate that and I value that. And so I think it's really cool. Like I had a student at Illinois School for the Deaf who wanted to be a welder, who was a female. And it was just really cool. Like I love that she wanted to do that. Now, if she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, cool, full support. It doesn't matter, but that's something I'm expected to do. And now that I'm home, like if my boyfriend and I are doing things around the house or doing yard work, we're doing the same things. It's not like she's a girl. So I really love that, and I love that I grew up like that, and that's something I hold now. Like, and I'm offended if someone's like, oh no, like we've just got this. Like, no, I can lift heavy things, or, you know, do it. If you tell me how to do it, I'll try my hardest. So that's something really important to me. So lastly, and this is a little bit long-winded, so I kind of just waited for it to be last. So this, highly recommended book. This is called The Watseka Wonder. I live in Watseka. There's a book about Watseka Wonder because there's some like haunted things in my hometown, paranormal activity and possession. Like this is called America's Most Extraordinary Case of Possession and Exorcism. It's actually really cool. My friend lives next to the house where all this happened, and like the guy who lives there has really cool stories of he and his partner and like the things that they've experienced in there, and it's really cool. It's a haunted house in October, and it's pretty freaky. But anyways, where I grew up is very, very, very important to me. And it's not that I value all the same things that everyone that I have grown up around value. And I say that because I'm from a very small town. Watseka is 3,500 people. That's a lie. It's 5,300 people. And I graduated with like 74. And so we are not a diverse community at all. And that's not because it's anti-diversity. It's because we live in a farming community. I worked at a farm store for, like, when I was community college, I worked at a farm store. And the people who live here are like fourth generation farmers. And we're almost in Indiana. We're not near, I mean, the closest city, I guess, would be Kankakee, and that's still like a 45-minute drive. So it's not, most people assume, oh, small community, like racists and sexists and all these things, like anti people who are not like those who grew up here. And the more that I've gone through school, the more I understand that it's not hate that people feel. It's people do not understand at all. Like there are people who lived here who have not interacted, like full on have had a conversation with someone of color. And that's not because they don't want to. It's because they've either A, not had the opportunity to, or they've just never done it. Like I can tell you the names of the three or four people of color that I graduated with. And they were all adopted. And that's just how it is here. But I have loved being able to come back here and understand that the people just don't understand, and being able to explain it, because there was a time where I didn't understand anything other than my own culture, like at all. And until you experience things, you are narrow-minded, and it's just how it goes. But growing up here, I can take that understanding of not understanding and put it towards explaining things. And that might not be explaining my own culture someday. That might mean explaining someone else's culture to another person and being that medium. But that is something that I hold because, I mean, it's how it is in so many places. And, yeah, and that's not something that is necessarily good, you know, like the misunderstanding of people who aren't like yourself. But like, I can come home now and explain to my grandpa, who's almost 80, things that no one's been able to explain to him, because other people from around here don't understand a lot of things that are outside of my community, which would be really hard. I mean, these people who grow up farming with their families, and then they just start farming. Like, it's just like my dad. He grew up in the processing plant And after high school, he started processing meat still. It wasn't, you go off and you learn all these new things and you experience all these new things. But that's where I come from. And it's really important to me, though, like, how strong of a community that we are. And when tragedy strikes, people come together, and it's just really, really loving. And I grew up here. My dad graduated. He went to the same high school I went to. My grandma and grandpa went to the same high school I went to. Someday I hope my kids go to the same high school I went to, because there's still such a cool sense of community in a small town that so many people don't experience. Now, granted, like the diversity comment, the demographic of my community and surrounding communities have changed so much, even since I was in junior high school, which was only, I graduated in 2016. So it's really interesting. It'll be interesting to see how my community changes, but living in a small town definitely has helped make me who I am. Growing up in a small town, I wasn't good enough to play sports at, I don't know, Naperville, like huge communities, but being in a small community gives you a lot of experiences that maybe you can't get where you could get other experiences in a bigger town. So yeah, I carry that, and I hope to use that a lot, because I would love to be able to come back here and teach eventually, and being able to use my experiences that I've learned and explain them to the same people who had the same thought processes as what I might have had, or what people I grew up with might have had in the same time frame, like what I might have thought in high school about some things versus what my eyes have been open to now. It's just cool. And I love being from here. So yeah, also pick up this book. It's really cool. You can get it on Amazon. But yeah, if you ever heard of Bloody Mary, that's your girl. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm excited as I finish school and start teaching to add things to my cultural bag that I've learned personally, because even though I love all these cultural things that I've gained just growing up here and growing up with my family and with the really cool people around me, I'm excited to bring my own cultural aspects that I have, like personal cultural things, back and use them. So yeah, I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Okay. Well, bye.